Alright, what's up, you guys? I'm gonna do a quick trade recap today. I stopped doing trade recaps just because I felt like they were getting repetitive, but I decided to do one today because it was actually a trade that I usually don't take, and it's a trade I'm not used to taking, but it played out pretty well. I made 1600 in each of the five top sub accounts. I told you guys I was going to keep you guys updated with the whole getting transferred over to live thing. They did end up emailing me and they gave me two options. Option one was to get moved to live now, and then option two was to build up these balances up here to 5,000, which right now I'm getting close to, and then get moved to live. So I decided to go with option two, build up the accounts, then get moved to live. That way it's just, I mean, it's more money. If when I do get transferred over to live, I can request a payout. And then my goal with the live account, honestly, is just to go in heavy, trade as heavy as possible, make as much money as possible. Today, I also started a 5K live account. If you don't know, I plan on turning 5K to 100K at least by the end of the year. That's how much time I'm gonna give myself. So, yeah. I did also make 1500 on this live account. So as you can see, the equity right here is 6500, and I'm showing the account number because I actually emailed TradeOvate, and I asked them, does the account number like actually matter? And they said that it's actually tokenized, so people can't really hack into it. So if you see traders blurring out their number, honestly, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why, especially if it's a prop firm account. Okay, you don't really have to worry about that. But yeah, here's also the execution on the TradeOvate account. It was just one trade, and I actually took it pretty heavy. I took it with two contracts. And then all the stats on this live account, I'm gonna track it with TradeZella. So boom, here's the stats for TradeZella. You could also see the trade here, I think. Let's see. Yes, you could see it. Boom, right there. There's execution. And then the execution also on the top sub accounts. I did end up scaling in on the top sub accounts for a total of two contracts or 20 micros. Anyways, okay, boom. I'm not gonna mark everything that I had on the chart just because, I guess some people don't like the way I chart, so I'm not gonna chart everything. I'm just gonna chart what really matters. So, boom, we had this 2 hour zone all the way up here, or down here, sorry. Boom, this little one right here, right? If you zoom in and look at how price has reacted to the zone before, every single time price had tapped into the zone, it tapped it almost perfectly, rejecting, that 50% area. And then also over here, let's see if we could get to it. Boom, right here. This is really what you want to see, right? Even though the market did fall a little bit below 50%, the 5 minute candlesticks didn't close above, or sorry, didn't close, below 50%. So clean rejection there. And then I saw that, so I was like, okay, boom. Usually I would think shorts, or I would look for shorts at that area, because if you don't know, I guess I'm a little breakout trader, or I take breakout trades most of the time. And last week, what happened was that I was looking for breakout trades. So I would get in a trade, the trade would go straight to stop loss, and it would completely reverse. And that would happen to me a lot, where my entry was a great entry for the opposite direction. So, me kind of learning from those losses just taught me, the areas that I'm taking trades off of are beautiful. I'm just not taking it, the right way. So I changed my mindset over to, instead of expecting a breakout every single time from my zones, I'm just going to see how the market reacts to that area. So that's the mindset I came in with today. Um So yeah. Anyways, let me also show you guys another thing I was looking at. If you zoom out on the 4 hour, you could see there was also this liquidity over here. So and also that's another thing, is when I would expect a breakout near an area of liquidity, I would basically be like the liquidity sweep. I would get swept out, right? And that's just something that I learned from, to just, if there's a demand zone and a liquidity area like this right here, be extra cautious if you're gonna take the short. Like actually see how the market reacts to that area. But anyways, okay, boom. I'm just gonna mark this out because this is literally the only reason why I took the long. Boom, you have a 2 hour demand zone that the price had already rejected a couple of times. Did that make me bullish or bearish? It didn't make me anything, because I came into the market again with the mindset of just reading price action. How is the market reacting to this area? Anyways, okay, boom. Market opens up, and I'm actually replay this. Market opens up, it taps the area, and it taps liquidity, it rejects liquidity. When I see that, I'm like, okay, it's rejecting this area. Yes, the market sold off in a very beautiful way, but that does not make me bearish or bullish or whatever. Again, I'm just reading price action from here. So I said from here, okay, we slept liquidity, we slept. We swept liquidity and we bounced off of this demand zone, and this 5 minute candle closed out, with a huge wick. So I was like, if this wick here breaks, if we break structure to the upside, then I'm taking along. And that's exactly what I did. Next candle opens up, and again, once it broke this wick here, I entered long. The entry was a bit off, it was around here, okay, and I had 100 tick stop loss. Boom. And then I guess I should have marked this zone up here. Then I was like, okay, well, if I'm taking longs, then what's gonna be my target? Usually my target is a 1 to 2, right? But I mark more zones than this. So what I had marked out was this 3 hour demand zone right over here. And before pre-market decided to completely dump, this was actually going to be the trade that I took over here, was this breakout trade over here. But at this time I was actually in the gym, in the morning, so I wasn't going to take this trade. But this is the trade that I was looking for, was shorts off of this 3 hour demand zone, which played out. But again, I wasn't at the chart, so I couldn't take it. Anyways, took the longs from down here. Again, I didn't even predict the price, right? I'm literally just reading it, seeing how the market reacts to these certain areas. Then from there, boom, took the long, and I targeted this area up here, right? And you might be wondering, well, you have a zone up here, but market kind of broke through it. Does that invalidate the zone? No, it doesn't. Because what happens most of the time with supply and demand is kind of what happens with support and resistance. With support and resistance, what happens most of the time is, let's say you have, let me do it over here. Let's say you have some resistance here. If you break through it, then most likely it turns into support. And it's kind of the same thing with supply and demand. It's just not as clean as this, right? So, but it's the same idea, okay? So that's kind of the idea that I had over here, was, okay, basically it's kind of, support slash resistance, whatever. So I targeted the 200s up here, and as you can see, it was just a clean move up. Boom. Did I close it up here? No. I closed it around here. And am I mad at that? No, because it was over a 1 to 3. I'm happy with that. I took my money and I got out, and I actually made all my losers plus more from last week. If you didn't know, last week I had a pretty rough week. Yeah, basically all of the days were losing days. Okay, this day I ended up kind of going on tilt. Not really, but it was just a trade that I normally kind of wouldn't take. So, anyways, that was that. And I learned a lot from that losing streak last week. But that was a trade. It was pretty simple trade, 2 hour demand zone plus liquidity. Boom, market kind of rejected that area, so I took the longs. Normally I would expect some sort of breakout for New York session, right? Which technically it did kind of break out, right? Out of this little range here. Technically, yes, it did. But usually I would have gone short down here, because it's below 50%. But I've been taking a lot of losses doing it that way. So I was like, damn, I gotta change things up. I gotta, not 1,000%, but like I have to adapt to the market. And that's what I just did today. It was a bit uncomfortable, but it was one of the trades where it goes straight to TP. So, it was just a great day. And I was actually done in, so I got out around here. Yeah. I looked at my recording and I was actually done at 9:42 a.m., which is 12 minutes into market open. So technically it was like a 10-15 minute work day, which is just crazy to think about because I made a decent amount of money. But when I do these trade recaps, I always try to kind of talk about what I did and what I could have done better. Today I feel like what I could have done better was maybe hold it a bit longer cuz I had that uh I conviction, I guess. I had the you know it's not even a feeling. I just knew it was going to tap into this area here cuz it just makes sense. So I could have held that longer, or I could have left the runner, especially on this live account. So yeah, I do plan on leaving runners with the live account as well. But I feel like I'm only going to leave runners on the live account once we have more trending days. Because even though today's volume was really great, we didn't have a trending day. If you don't know what a trending day is with NASDAQ, if you have a trending day, it literally goes in one direction the whole day. Okay, if you've never seen that with NASDAQ, you probably haven't been trading long enough. It does happen, but we haven't seen that in a while. So, but we are starting to see more volume. Like it's completely different from 2 months ago. Now, first 5 minutes of market open, you have a pretty decent range. You have more volume, so there's gonna be more opportunities. But I was just gonna say that when there is actually a training day, that's when I want to start placing some runners and like letting it run, especially with this live account. I'm out of breath. Okay, anyways, damn, that was it for today's trade recap. It was honestly pretty simple. And if if your first trade is a winner, I promise you, one of the best things you could do is number one, walk away or take a break, right? You never want to turn a green day into a red day. And that's kind of a huge reason to why I do a lot of one and done days. I take my winner for the day and I'm out of the casino, because I mean, that's the goal with trading, right? To make money. So why would you gamble your profits on the day? It doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, that was it. Thank you for watching.